everyone, and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. For once we have some good news to read on, and the good news is a palace clapback thanks to Rebecca English writing in the Daily Mail, and she's clapping back to an article by Parkle mouthpiece Charlotte Griffiths. And Charlotte Griffiths was telling us just a few days ago that Harry's jaunt to the UK and meeting with Pa was so successful, he would be back regularly, he would be doing public appearances with Pa. Archie was signed up for Eton. Harry would be sharing or taking on some of Prince William's workload. It was all systems go, basically. Oh no. According to Rebecca English, finally some resistance from the palace, and Rebecca English tells us that Prince Harry will never, and those are in shouty caps, well that is in shouty caps, never be allowed to return as half in half out working royal. Claims he could ease William's workload are wide of the mark. She goes on to say that insiders reacted angrily to the Duke of Sussex claims, or sources close to the Duke of Sussex's claims, that he's well on the way back to acceptance into the family fold. The juicy quote is, "Whoever is behind these claims," Meredith Mains, cough cough, my opinion, "seems to have mistaken a brief tea and slice of cake for the Treaty of Versailles." It's also clear, according to Rebecca English and this article, that Team Harry may be using this month's baby steps to drive a wedge between the King and Prince William, what we all saw. So massive egg on the faces of Meredith Mains, the Parkle, the disruptor, the little disruptor who's been engineering all of this stuff. Massive egg also on Charlotte Griffith's face, who has been briefing endlessly in the Daily Mail about how Harry is better than Prince William and the King loves him more and the public loves him more too. Not so much. It really shows how angry the royals are about all the spinning that's been going on the past few weeks. And this story has been picked up by the Telegraph and the Times also. They all have slightly different take on it, but the same narrative. Harry is out and he's not welcome back now or ever. And the palace really knows that Harry and his people are the ones trying to drive a wedge between William and the King. Interesting stuff, as I say, about jolly well time. I want to know who and why, and I want to know what force or what persuasive energy opinion polls had. The public had to do with this, because the public have been very busy in the comments section and on social media expressing their absolute outrage at the idea that Harry can just waltz back into the royal family, be forgiven for all the terrible things that he's done, and Meghan might be sneaking along behind him like she tried to do at the Kevin Costner event over the weekend, tried to slide onto the stage and then got swatted away when Harry was making his speech. People are awake to this nonsense and they're having none of it. So I want to know about that. I want to know about Meredith Mains and Charlotte Griffiths and how they are feeling today, having read Rebecca English's piece in the Daily Mail, which is as good as someone from the palace actually writing it themselves and sending it to the Daily Mail to be printed. And I want to know finally what role, if any, Fergie's fall from grace, spectacular fall from grace, has had. And I had a sudden coughing fit when I mentioned Fergie's name. As you can hear, I'm still a bit choked up. Spectacular fall from grace after more emails emerged to do with her friend Jeffrey. And she's being dropped by charities as we speak. As I'm doing this reading, the news is coming through. She's out. I want to know what role that had in the decision by the palace to say, okay, fine, we're taking out the trash. basically, and the Sussex is part of that trash. New Palladini Tarot on the tarot table. Lots to get through, lots of preamble, but we're going to work our way through this, and in the next reading I'm going to see how the Parkles are feeling right now. Harry in particular, I'm going to do a reading on Harry. He was riding high over the weekend. I can hear the crash and the thud from here, half a world away. Let's see what's going on. Just tarot, of course, for fun and entertainment. All my opinion, all wild speculation. Just read energy here, and disclaimer in the box below. The who and the why, public role in all of this, and Charlotte, Meredith Mains, Charlotte, how they're feeling, and Fergie's role in this, and is this take out the trash day? Prince William basically taking out the trash. I want to know the answers to these questions in this reading. I hope you're all enjoying this news as much as I am. I'm sure that most of you are. You might be thinking it's a bit late, maybe not a bit late, but it could have happened immediately. But I suppose they were waiting to see how Harry would use the opportunity he was given, that very public meeting in London a few months ago with his people and Par's people, and then the very public tea party with Pa, how he would handle the situation very badly, as it turned out. And that is, of course, in my opinion, there's the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Can't say. I think it shows up in every reading I do at the moment. And oh dear, what a mess Harry and his people have made of this opportunity to get back in Pa's good graces. Wasted effort, zero return on investment. That's our underlying energy. Absolute disaster, basically. Those 7 years that have gone by since he married you know who. What an absolute ruin of a man's life, basically. There it is with the Seven of Pentacles. All that effort, all those journalists that they got on side, I believe, paid. That's my personal take. Although I do think that there's been some bargain with the devil made at the crossroads kind of a thing with the Daily Mail and the Parkles, because of the ongoing litigation and the massive court costs and all of that's still hanging over all of their heads. I think this has had a lot to do with the rubbish that we've been reading in the Daily Mail, particularly over the past few weeks. But that's our underlying energy. Waste of effort, nothing to show for all the stuff. And then we have an even bigger energy, the world, and it's the world in reverse, a failure, and a very public failure. And I think that is the energy of that card is for me Meredith Mains in particular. In there I'm reading energy, of course, and just expressing my personal opinion, but it's failure. She went large. She started with a twerking video, that kind of disruptor narrative that Neil Sean was telling us about a few months ago, that we were going to see a lot of stunts pulled. And we did see a lot of stunts pulled. The meeting in London that was packed, so accidentally, and so on, all the stunts. And all of this has come to naught. Basically, world is about successful achievement of your goals, completion of a chapter. It's failure, very visible failure, and very, very difficult energy. So the who and the why of this clapback, let's ask who was behind it. I know my money is on Prince William, but I want to see what we've got. The Three of Swords in reverse. Do you know this might even be more Pa than Prince William in here? Because this is betrayal. The Three of Swords is pain. And I think Prince William is past that. I don't think that he's in that energy anymore. I think he had more trouble to deal with his own personal domestic situation with the Princess of Wales and her cancer diagnosis, and trying to keep his family afloat through that crisis, which is ongoing, I personally believe. Three of Swords in reverse, I think that's Pa. Betrayal. I gave him a chance, and I think he has the rope, and then Harry went and did, the thing, which I'm not allowed to say on YouTube. But I think rope was given to see what he would do with it. And that's terrible heartache and pain and betrayal and disappointment. And I think realization that this is just going to go on and on and on. There's going to be no salvation. There's going to be no contrition, repentance, remorse, apology, any of those things. He's not capable of those things. And unfortunately, dealing with these types of personalities, you do eventually have to admit that to yourself. And I think that there it is with that Three of Swords. And the why of this clapback now, what's the kind of driving impetus behind it? I've got the Sun. And the Sun it's a very royal card, but there's a little bit of narcissism in there. Pa wants to be loved. He wants to be popular. He wants to shine. He wants to reign. He wants to be successful. He doesn't need all this nonsense. There's plenty of nonsense with the Yorks at the moment and with the Sussexes. Does he want his reign tarnished by all of this? No. So that's interesting, because it's coming through to me as just wanting to be popular. It's a strange energy that's coming through. As I say, it's got an edge of narcissism in it. I suppose if you're born into that family and you're pampered and bowed and fawned over and all that stuff, you're going to. It's almost impossible not to be a raging narcissist, or at least to exhibit very narcissistic behavior if you're not technically a narcissist. My opinion, of course. How about opinion polls? Because there have been quite a few. It's been very obvious that the palace has been taking the temperature of the public with these opinion polls, and they're all rabidly hostile to the idea of Harry being forgiven and welcomed back at any level. And when I did readings, the level seemed to be, yes, you can represent me doing stuff like Invictus or whatever. It didn't seem to be here, I'm going to hand over the reins of power to you. But there did seem to be some degree of possibility of Harry popping up on a balcony from time to time. So public opinions, how important was that? Wheel of Fortune, yes. Absolutely, the monarchy needs to keep tabs on sentiment. This is the ups and downs and the swings and roundabouts. If you're a royal family, sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, and sometimes you're in and sometimes you're out. They need to stay in a positive relationship with the public. Very much so. And that Wheel of Fortune, it rolls and it turns, and they don't really to be on the wrong side of history. It's coming through for me very powerfully twice. The Sun and the Wheel of Fortune. Pa does not want to be on the wrong side of history with this one. Gave a chance. Most people would say too much of a chance to Harry. But now he can walk it back and say, well, that's not what was discussed in the meeting. You were never offered any of those things. The Sandringham agreement still stands. I was just being Pa. I was giving you tea and cake because you were in London, and I was being Pa. That's all. So I can see how this is being spun in the palace. What about the issue of driving a wedge between William and the king? How much of an influence did this have in the decision to clap back and call it out and say, we know what you're up to and we're not going to let this go? Because the public, in their comments, were very pro Prince William and were calling it out as well. Gone are the days when the public can be gaslit and things like that. Yeah, the Last Judgment, we see you, we see what you've done. The judgment card is you're judged on your behavior and what you're doing. We see it. We know what you're up to. We know what you're doing. We see everything in the judgment card. Everything you have done, ever done, thought, plotted, connived, whatever is seen. There's no hiding in that card. I've never, ever got that energy before in a reading, on these royal readings, but that's the energy that's screaming through for me now. We know it all. There is forgiveness in the judgment card, but that energy isn't coming through. It's not, I'm going to forgive you for what you're doing. It's, I see what you're doing, and I'm going to hold you to account for it. There is accountability in this card. Very interesting. Major arcana showing up here in a large way in this reading. How about the two ladies that I think are the face of the Sussex narrative mostly, although Tina Brown's been at it and quite a few others have been at it. Liz Jones, dreadful woman in my opinion, and quite a few others. But first of all, Meredith Maines. How's she feeling? Does she still think she can spin her way out of this? Four of Pentacles, no. The card is in reverse if you're listening and not watching, and it is loss of control. She's lost control of the narrative. All that spinning, spinning, spinning. It's been made very clear to her in this brief tea and slice of cake comment that she mistook that for the Treaty of Versailles, that she doesn't understand the game she's playing. She doesn't understand she's dealing with royalty. She's dealing with matters of state. She's not dealing with a celebrity who's been caught doing something unsavory, and now she's got to spin the celebrity back into positive PR. That's not what she's dealing with. She's out of her depth. Interestingly, body language, you could kind of tell that in that meeting that was papped and leaked. Her body language, she was kind of slumped at the table, a very poor posture, and that sounds like a trivial thing to say, but it's the kind of thing that's noticed. Dealing with someone, she wasn't wearing the right kind of clothes to that meeting. She was sitting there, as I say, slouched at the table, just not the right kind of energy, not the kind of person that would be expected in those circles. That's my take on the situation. She's lost control, very likely out, I would say, quite soon with that Four of Pentacles in reverse. Hasn't paid off. Whatever she was trying to do hasn't worked. She's actually lost not only her grip on things, but I believe personally that she has made matters a whole lot worse for Harry. A whole lot worse. I think he was in with a shout if he'd gone about this quite differently, privately and quietly and apologetically and humbly. But that's not his style, and it's certainly not the style of Meredith Maines either, allegedly, from what we have seen. How about Charlotte Griffiths, who was also full of herself just a few days ago in the Harry narrative? How's she feeling right now? I know the Daily Mail has to play this game because of the court case. My personal opinion, she's still on Team Harry. Harry's side, Knight of Pentacles, and I believe that there is some personal connection there. I think through her husband, I'm not sure. But she's very Team Harry. She's still Team Harry, Knight of Pentacles. She's still going to carry this pentacle for him. She's still going to promote him and his path back to some light royling, back to the UK and whatever and whatever. And I believe with that Knight of Pentacles that this is a game that the Daily Mail is playing. I think that they are fully supportive of her and what she's doing. There's no egg on that face. The egg on face is over here, Four of Pentacles in reverse, Meredith Maines. So I think Charlotte Griffiths, who cares if what she said one day gets completely denied the next day in SmackDown? She doesn't care. What an ugly business media is, journalism is these days. So disappointing. How about the Fergie fiasco that's all over the papers and has been for the past few days? Did this tip the palace into this decision? And I think it's King Charles. Did this tip the decision to actually get old Rebecca, phone her up and say, oi, got the Nine of Pentacles in reverse? I do think so. That's very Fergie energy, the single woman, even though she lives with Andrew at Royal Lodge. There she is, Nine of Pentacles, short of cash. She's the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, somebody who's struggling to make their own way in life. She's never really succeeded. She's made fortunes and lost fortunes. She's grifted her way through her life. And now she's big. She's bad news. She's really, with that Nine of Pentacles in reverse, she's really bad news. Kind of loose cannon I'm getting with that Nine of Pentacles in reverse, because it's all about money. It's all about living the high life, the Nine of Pentacles. And she's a real liability to them now. And they need to get rid of her. So are we seeing take out the trash day with the royals? And this is a Prince William question. Is this Prince William stepping in now and saying, I've had enough? Given you your chance, Pa and Harry. I've walked away. I went to Wales so I could be as far away as possible while you two were having your tea party. Now I'm taking charge. Is there any of that going on here? Very sad energy. Interesting card. It's grieving. It's not gloating. It's not I was right and you were wrong. He's a bigger person than that. And so he's grieving. He's grieving for what has been lost. Because I think that this was a last chance saloon for Harry to come back in at some level. Not as a working royal, but as as a family member, that maybe there would be a chance for Christmas or something like that at some stage. I don't think William would relish such a thing, but purely at a human level, as a sibling, he was once so close. He's now just thinking, how much worse can life get, really? How much more difficult can it get with all of these terrible things that are going on? And there are terrible things going on in the world, but the royal family is certainly going through it at the moment, which is why we still watch this story. And it is an archetypal story. I think the reason why the public reacted so viscerally to it is because so many people are finding themselves in similar situations. And that is why, as I say, we carry on reading on this and we carry on observing it. That's your reading. Park or response next. How's Harry feeling? That's where I'm heading next. I hope you join me over there. Thank you for being here with me now.